Well, hello. This is a bit of an early stream, I know, but I felt like I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this project than I did the others. But first, it has been a while since I've streamed. I think a week. Yeah, it was a week. I was looking after a dog. So, how has your all's week been? I missed you. Mine has been a bit of an up and down. To start, we had a dog come over from a friend's. They needed training, and if you didn't know, I do dabble in a little bit of dog training as well as writing and drawing. He did really well. His name's Bentley, and he was a smaller dog. A little bit bigger than mine, but, a good dog. Oh, and quick disclaimer, we do still have the Spotify ads. I was too busy this week to truly dedicate myself to getting it removed, so I do apologize.
Check out this 2025 Ford Bronco Badlands. MSRP $64,045. Now, just $55,915. Visit Midstate Ford, just off Route 19 in Summersville, home of the Big John deals. Shop online anytime at midstateford.com.
Just waiting for it to pass. And we're good. Okay, so the dog training. It went well up until like the middle of the week where I had injured my arm. I don't believe it was Bentley. I think it must have been a combination of the rough playing and the constant work I put on it through drawing. Take care of your arms. That's the best advice I can give you when it comes to art. Take care of your wrists. So, what are we working on today? Well, I thought today would be a great day to touch one of my latest comic pages. This one is, of course, Ivar, as he's my favorite character to draw. And it's part of a collection I have. I have a few mini comics on Blue Sky, and this one is with a character named Mermaid. I haven't shared anything of her on the channel, but for a quick fill in on her context, she is a sea-themed villain with the intention of exploiting illegal trades. However, one thing she loves more than anything is weapons, and more specifically, these kitchen knives. So yeah, just gonna be a little chill stream. We're gonna hang out, draw a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. I do have to finish the background for this piece. I have some of the coloring down here for the others, but this frame with clay running has not been touched yet, so I'm going to quickly do that. My week being so busy, I haven't really had the time to do anything related to my other projects, like animation and art, so it's really nice to finally have that time to just unwind and be me again, Feel free to get your sketchbooks, pull out that tablet. We're just gonna draw together. I'm here to be your background noise. This content for today's stream was actually voted on by my community. I had asked them if they would like to see a comic page, and the overwhelming result was yes. I don't like that line. We're gonna restart that. Sometime last week, I did get back into the rhythm of working on my animatic. And good thing, too, because it's due here in I think it's just a week or so. I don't really know. I don't have a calendar on me, nor can I see any from where I am. Yeah, that animatic should be out sometime around the 1st of February. That's usually when I like to upload. Oh, that does remind me, I tried something new last week. I don't know if anyone else has heard about it, but it's called the 5 a.m. routine, when you wake up at 5 in the morning to try and get more work done. My take? I think it helped. I did get a lot more work done this week than I did the week before. Well, part of it was because there was a dog over, but I also think some of it was because I had that moment in the morning when it was all quiet and I had no distractions, nothing else to think about. I could truly just dedicate on my craft, and I enjoyed that. I'll probably do it again. But would I stream it, though? I'll think about it. I would have to be very quiet. For anyone who's new here, I don't live alone. So we wouldn't want to wake anybody while we draw Ivar and animate Wolkas. But yeah, I'd be open to the idea. It could be our little secret stream. If you know, you know. You're here, you heard it first. Something I love about drawing comics is the quiet. Because when I'm animating something, I have to constantly be thinking, where does this go? How do I make this look like this? How do I express this emotion? And while I do believe the same thing can still be said about a comic, for whatever reason, to me, a comic reminds me a lot like a coloring book. Once you get down the sketches and line art. When it's just the background like this, it's peaceful. Don't get too comfortable with the background we see here. The hard truth about art is, once you have something in the background, it's probably going to disappear in a few minutes. Just simply because A, there's going to be a character on top of it, or B, it's going to be completely re-edited to fit the theme of your scene. For example, Clay is running here, so I'll probably have to blur the picture just so that it looks more like he's running. I think that works. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to change the color of a couple of these things in the background. I don't want them to look too out of place from the original, so we'll just take some colors from the frame down here. We're just going to move up and now apply them to the one we have. I like to use a syrup brush for this. I don't know why, I just think it has a better movement. I like the feeling of it and the way it follows my line perfectly. Well, perfect is a strong word. Good enough, I'd say. That it just, I don't know, I just like it. It makes it easier to do color fill like this. Let's get a reference off. I might go back to doing Saturday streams, but I'm not really sure because I'd have to do it pretty early in the morning. I have places to be at 2 on Saturdays, so it probably wouldn't work in that case.
Make it fresh in a brand new Chevy from
Oh, the ads are back.
Great offers are happening right now. Like a 2026
I should open a petition to stop them,
MSRP
to cancel the ads and free us.
$39,999. Or the 2025 Chevrolet Trax Active.
Sounds like a scandal Ivar would fight for, honestly.
Now only $24,999.
These savings won't last long, so get to Northside Chevrolet off of Route 19 in Summersville, where everybody rides. Chevrolet, together, let's ride. Shop online at northsidewv.com.
Man, this is a long ad. I think it's a Shopify ad. You know, I've been looking into practicing more with, like, color theory. And as an artist, you might be like, you've never studied color theory? And yeah, I knew some things about it, but I don't think I know it as well as I should or want to. So I think here in the upcoming weeks, that might be something I'm going to dedicate more time to. You can never know too much when it comes to art. I think that's true about a lot of things. When you dedicate the time and effort to something you truly enjoy, it's never really work or learning, is it? I'm not saying there's not going to be days where you think that, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. No, that's probably a given. You're probably always going to be thinking like that. However, if you truly love something, though, and it's your passion, those are easy hurdles to get over eventually. Because at the end of the day, anger and love seem to fall under the same roof. You love something because it's your passion, but you're angry with what's going on around you because you love it. You love doing this, like, for instance, drawing. I love drawing, but not every day is going to be perfect. Some words of wisdom. Now the tedious part, adding all these holes in the back of the store. Does anyone know why they have these? I thought it was because they had hooks that they hung stuff from, but I don't know, I never actually looked. Now, I would still really like to have a consistent stream schedule, but as of now, that's unfortunately not achievable. I'm trying to stick to at least just Friday streams. My time might be a little different, but I'm looking into getting a new job here soon, so that might mess things up. My dream is to one day be a full-time artist, but that requires a lot of work, and I'm not saying I'm afraid of that work. I've actually really enjoyed the studying of marketing and advertisement and even product production. I really do enjoy that kind of stuff. But it's not easy, you know? Alright, that should do it for the background with clay. I don't really like the back of that storefront over there. Like the one behind Mermaid and Clay in the first shot. But I think I'm gonna have to leave it, because I can't think of anything to put there. Now hold on real quick, I need to check something. I will be right back. Alright, I am back. Sorry about that. Had to go check something on my phone. But I have returned, and we now shall begin the construction of the background. I'm going to keep it in separate parts, as I don't want the shading and lighting to affect each other. This is probably my most dreaded part in making a comic, is the background design. I don't really consider myself that good at it. So it's always a little daunting when I have to touch it like this and be like, I don't want to add the shadows, because the shadows could either make it look really ugly or really good. I think I'll keep this and add another layer. Don't want to add too many harsh shadows, as a store typically has a very bright appearance, so there isn't too many shadows inside a store. Gonna try something with the corner here. Kind of treat it like a box. This could work. I think I will shave a little bit off of it though. Just do a little bit of adjustment here with the corner. There we go. That looks better. So recently, my sister and I have gotten kind of back into video games. I wouldn't exactly call myself a gamer, but when I'm with her, we do have a lot of fun playing games. When we were a kid, there was a series, I'm sure some of you would remember it, called Skylanders. It was a huge thing at our school. Everybody wanted one. Everybody wanted to play the game, and it kind of became a competition when we were younger of who could finish the game first. No need to brag, but my sister and I did hold the record. The fastest we ever were on the second game of the series, called Skylanders Giants. It just barely came out, and we absolutely destroyed it. But yeah, I didn't really like the direction the series went as we got older. And eventually, the enthusiasm for the game died out. And we didn't think about it again. I did have every game, though. From the first all the way down to the last one, which isn't very good. It was called Skylanders Imaginators. It's pretty obvious by this point that they were just trying to get money. However, as of recently, my sister and I have picked up the game again, including all the others. Imaginators, however, had this feature where you could design your own character and play as them. What made them different than a regular Skylander, well, aside from the customization option, you could Also, they could only be so many levels as many of that game's version of Skylanders you had. In our case, we only had a few, so the highest level we ever were was 21, which is actually lower than a traditional Skylander. So, what do you do when you have a lower level character than the game asks of you?
Get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no.
Oh, I gotta wait for the ad again.
Capital One checking account. Wow, that's
Spotify has come for us.
So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Alright, let me start over. So what happens when you have one of the lowest level characters possible in the game? Well, not lowest, but lower than a typical Skylander. Well, obviously, you try and beat the game with them. For this challenge specifically, we did purchase 2 more of those, I think they called them Imaginite crystals. Yeah, Imaginite crystals. We did purchase 2 more just to make it easier. Though I do not condone the buying for this game, as it is really, really expensive. We got really lucky finding these cheap ones. 'Cause here's a little secret. The Imaginite crystals are cheaper if you were to buy them from people who weren't aware of their capabilities. Example, the game says you can only design an Imaginite crystal once. Another way to get money, so you have to buy more if you want more characters. There was no way of resetting the crystal, and you were stuck with whatever character you were given. However, my sister and I made this discovery through advice on, I guess, some Reddit forum, was that you can actually reset the figures in an old game, because the older game, like Skylanders Giants, thinks it's a broken toy. So, if you find a Imaginite crystal being sold, that is, the owner says that it's stuck on the player that it is, well, that's not true, you can change it. So yeah, that's from my week. Playing Skylanders Imaginators, and believe it or not, it's actually a lot more challenging than it looks. When I first played it, I thought it was extremely easy. Well, for one, my sister and I never played higher than easy mode, which may have something to do with it. But the addition of having only these few characters to play with does kinda render you a bit stuck when it comes to, like, serious bosses. In this case, it's not even a boss. We're stuck with a large-sized villain. He's not even a boss yet. He's just one of the bad guys you fight. Yeah, we'll have to find some way around that later. Yeah, that's looking better. That's looking much better. Now let's add some light. Trying to mimic that bright store look. Right now, it kind of looks like Hobby Lobby. Bring down the effect. Yeah, I think it looks good. Yeah, I think this is all I'm going to do for this top one. So something I like to do is save the background as one solid piece, so that joining all the layers together doesn't cause any weird effects. Like if you try and join an add layer to a regular layer with no background, it has a tendency to glitch out and not keep the brightness anymore. So this is my way of avoiding that. And voila. And don't worry, we'll get to the characters later. Word of advice. Do the background coloring and shading first, before you touch your character's color and shading. This way you'll know exactly what colors you're using, and it can be consistent across the entire board. In our case, we're using this brown and very light coloring. This is our shadow, and that's our light. And it's my quick tip to get your things all in order. Keep drawing simple. I think the hardest thing to draw with this background was these kitchen knives. I'm quite proud of them now, but earlier I really didn't like them. Oh, I didn't think about it. It's not going to really show up on these brown boxes. Well, you live and learn. Oh, that does remind me. At this time of day, a certain car will come by our house and stop at our neighbor's. And it is extremely loud. I have no idea how this is going to affect us while we're streaming, but we will see. You might not even be able to hear it, but I probably will. What does this look like if you turn it into a multi? Kind of grays it. I don't really like it when it's gray. Sorry for any flashing. Just trying to see which one I like better. Does this change? Oh yeah, it does. It allows me to make the bolds darker. We'll see in a second if I like it. Speaking of work this week, I had touched a little bit again on the Ivar subject. More importantly, my very first comic was posted. Gonna be real, I was super nervous. I'd never shared my comics with anybody before. I mean, my sister's seen them, sure, but she's my sister. I've never had my comics shown to anyone that wasn't family. And can I just take a moment to thank all of you? The reception I got was overwhelming, and I adore each and every one of you. Just the mere idea that other people get enjoyment out of my stories is still so unreal to me. And I'll probably never get over the feeling. It's both inspiring and encouraging. But yeah, I've been working on Ivar again lately, and I will admit my focus has kind of shifted to concentrating really hard on getting its main story out. So much so that I tend to neglect my other stories, like say Wolkas of the Stone. I've been meaning to write a little project on Wolkas of the Stone, but Ivar has infested my brain and will not leave. I think everybody has a character like that, in some shape or form. This week I'm actually editing together a video collection that should share with you all the behind the scenes documentation of my comic journey, as I think some people could really benefit from seeing how someone else starts. It might not be the same way for you, or maybe not even be the same as anyone else's. But it's the steps, the process it takes to get somewhere. Speaking of revelations like this, can I share a secret with you guys? I really, really like filming. It's a secret love of mine I've uncovered in the last few weeks. One of the things I've been up to in my break. I really like film, not just the animation portion, but the ability to capture something on a camera and tell a story through that medium. Honestly, I've contemplated vlogging a couple times. Of course, it wouldn't be on this channel, as this channel is solely for my art and storytelling. But I thought about it a little bit. I really like filming. Which is something I never actually thought I would enjoy. Fun fact, I am a very, very strong introvert. I never liked slumber parties. I've never liked any form of social gathering. I don't like family get-togethers, and I didn't even like birthday parties. Such is the life of the introvert. But as I got older and stepped into, weirdly enough, oh no, Spotify is back.
Right now, you can get
Everybody run.
$100 in retail customer cash. And don't forget about the $750 on retail trade assist on select 2025 Broncos. Check out this 2025 Ford Bronco Badlands. MSRP $64,045. Now, just $55,915. Visit Midstate Ford, just off Route 19 in Summersville, home of the Big John deals. Shop online anytime at midstatefordwv.com.
But yeah, I always thought I was an introvert growing up, and I believe I still am. One of the ways you can tell is that an introvert in a social situation will very quickly begin to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and not want to proceed. And I was trying to use this here as a copy reference, but that's not going to work. Let's try again. Yeah, but as of recently, I stepped into a world that honestly is the worst place to be as an introvert. But I think it was good for me, and that is dog training. You get in front of a lot of people, and you don't just teach a dog, you teach the owners. That is the real key behind dog training, and where a lot of people fail. But being in this environment has taught me a lot about myself, how I communicate with other people, and as well as how I interact with a social setting again. I did not expect, though, to enjoy streaming or film recording as much as I do. Something about it isn't as stressful as being up in front of a crowd or having to explain myself to relatives. It's freeing, almost. I was told that streaming is difficult when there's nobody to stream to. I haven't had a problem like that. Maybe secretly this whole time I just wanted to talk and never stop. Maybe it was a secret love of mine. Yeah, I think I like how that looks, but we're going to add a layer to it. Try and give it this kind of soft effect. Too dark. Don't want it to be overwhelming. I just want it to appear as if everything's got a light shadow. let's slowly tone it down. There we go. Time to add the light. But yeah, that documents series I'm making on my comic is kind of a reflection of those loves. Of me just wanting to share something with you that I truly enjoy. Both the storytelling aspect, but the creation of the comics as well. These comics have truly inspired me to push the limit that is my creative abilities. I did realize I didn't color the back of that Vine Clay's head. That might not be a problem. We're gonna see in a minute. I do actually have a big comic planned for Ivar, like an origin story of how they got to the point they are now as heroes for the city of Hope Harbor. It's actually my main goal that I'm building to with these mini comics. A couple streams ago, I mentioned something or other about starting small, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. Keeping it short and simple, and getting the most I can, information-wise, out of my creations. Like this, I realize how long it takes actually to draw a decent background. And while I could use 3D models, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong in using 3D models, I honestly wish I had a 3D model. I am working at the simplest level you can get when it comes to making a comic, so I don't have the privileges of using a 3D model. So this is just how I'm gonna have to survive. I did get the shadow wrong on that bowl, but I think I'm gonna have to ignore it. Because this shadow's coming from this way. It's kind of, oh yeah, the light's coming down from here. So yeah, that one bowl on the bottom's just gonna have the wrong shadows. Yeah, this is the boring part, honestly, of comic creation. It's the bits and pieces that most people don't talk about. When you think of a comic, you want to think of the story. You want to tell the story. You want to draw your character. You want to share them with other people. And all of those are great things. But where's he gonna live? That's what I don't see people ask too much about. And it's the aspect, I believe, causes a lot of young creators to stop making a comic. Because who wants to draw backgrounds and upon backgrounds? I guess there's somebody on Blue Sky I met who likes drawing backgrounds. But if you had to do that for every single individual panel of your comic, you'd probably get sick of it pretty quickly. The key is to work small. For me, I never thought I was going to draw the inside of a store. But I found a good reference. I found a color scheme that works for me, and now I am trying to bring it to life through this comic. And unfortunately, creating a background isn't as simple as putting down a layer and it magically looks like exactly how you want it. You need to understand perspective and shapes and angles and how does that look both from the character's eye and your eye. I mean, this top one I'm not the most proud of, but I wanted to get the idea that we're looking over the shelf at Clay and Mermaid as they're turning the corner in a store. I never drew a store shelf before, and those are the things you gotta think about when you make comics. Is you're not just drawing the character, you're drawing his world. And that's probably going to include some things you never thought were going to be in a comic. But it's just part of the process. This is what I meant by the blurring part. See, it looks good. Alright, that will do it for the background. Now we're moving on to the characters. We're going to use the same bits we had for this one, this red color, but I think I'm going to make it a little bit more red. We're going to test it first, and we're going to leave a little color dot to remind us that this was the color we used. A bit of words of wisdom here. Save the colors you use for your shading and lighting. I don't care how, I always make a little template as if I was painting, so that I could take the colors when I need it. There's been an occasion where I forgot to do this, and then I'll be wondering for hours what color I was supposed to use for the shading, and it is noticeable. Yeah, I think I like the little bit more red palette for them. Helps them stick off a little bit. Now this, to me, is the fun part. It's getting to see how the characters are going to look in their environment. It can be both a pain, a headache, and a joy. But to me, it's these tiny little touches that truly bring the character to life. I'm still not 100% satisfied with Mermaid's color. I think she's too bright. But what are you gonna do? I'll fix it another time. But this is why we do these mini comics. They give us the opportunity to see what we like and what we don't like about our stories. And what I learned here brings us back to what we talked about in the beginning, is I'm not that great with color theory. Not as well as I should be. But not as good at it as I should be. Yeah, but if you're interested in ever reading this comic, it will be available on my Blue Sky page. Not this week, but maybe 2 weeks later? I'm not sure. Comics can't come out in a day, unfortunately. I got jobs, I got things to do, so... And this is only page 1. I have 2 others I haven't even touched yet. I think I'm gonna open up a bit of the shading here at her shoulder, because her arm is bending into the light from where it had just left her side and is moving. There's a bit of a muscle here. Light and shadow wraps. Not as skin tight as we think it does, but it does wrap a little bit. Oh yeah, I like that. She looks good. Now time to do clay.
The Start Something New sales event is on now at Northside Chrysler.
It's back.
The audience Somersville. The Hemi is back, and we've got the
Go away,
best
Spotify ads.
in the state. Upgrade to a 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn.
I will one day defeat you.
MSRP 61,365.
Mark my words.
52,276. This month we are saving you thousands on Ram trucks. Plus enjoy Ram's 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Start something new today at Northside Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat off of Route 19, where everybody rides. Visit northsidejeep.com.
Something Clay is missing here is his visor. I typically don't add it on into the last bit of the comic, simply because it's easier for me to see his expressions and face and know exactly what I want for both the lighting and shading portion when the mask is not there. So he won't look like this in the finished product. He'll look a little different. I believe that was my dog barking. Yeah, we might go on a little longer than usual because I really want to finish this page. I've had it for most of this week. I got all the sketches and stuff done last week while I was watching the dog, because that's, to me, the easy stuff. But yeah, we might go on a little longer than usual, but we'll see. Yeah, I bet I was on a long rabbit trail. Where were we? Oh yeah, we were talking about the Ivar origin story. I had began doing thumbnails for it, and if you don't know what that is, that's where you break down the idea you have for your comic into these more, I don't know if I'd say readable, but a rough version of what they're going to look like. They're tiny and would probably look something like this. I'm going to draw it real quick. Where, say this is your canvas, you can fit several on a page, and all of these little boxes would have their own individual frames. But yeah, I recommend using thumbnails. I did thumbnails for these too. I don't know if I still have it. I do not, it's not on this canvas, but yeah, this started with thumbnails, and I used those to get a general idea of not only what the page is going to look like, but the frame, the angle, and everything else in between. Needs a bit more light on his chest and stomach. Yeah, my big takeaway from this week, I think, has been don't be afraid to try something new. Even if it's a little bit out of your comfort zone. I've really been enjoying using my phone more to record and film stuff. And I wouldn't have found that out if I didn't try it. Same goes for art. If you're thinking about drawing something, like learning to draw, I'd say just do it. It's these small little things that can open up an entire world for us. I really didn't get into drawing until I saw somebody else from my school who was a really good really good artist. And I said to myself that that's something that I would really want to do. I'm trying to see which one I like more. This is going to be the shaded version. This is usually what I do when I make a comic page, is I test which one I like more. This one's going to have the shadow effect. And now we're going to take that off, and we're going to make another layer where we put it back, except we're going to use it for overlay instead. Okay, we need to bring it back up. Yeah, a comic page is not without its trial and error. And in this one, I want to see if I want to use shadows or would I rather use highlights to get what I want from this character. This is just a really quick way that I decide these things. A little orange for my taste, but we'll see. Always grab, and now we're going to turn it to an add layer so that we can do the highlight method. What you just saw earlier was the shadows. Now we're going to be moving on to using a method I did on my other comic where I specifically only use the light to create a render. I always preferred using this one because it was always a little easier for me. However, it isn't for every page. The first one I made with it was a large comic page in the daytime. This one also takes place during the day, I think. However, we are inside a store. The lighting is a little different, and so is the shadows. So we're going to see if this works. If it does not, then we will use the one we have over there with the shadows. I do kind of like the creamy orange. If I don't end up liking this, we'll probably keep this as our light source. It's kind of desaturated as mermaid a bit. I kind of like that. You ever have that moment where you draw like the villain in your story or you write about them, and while they were initially designed to be just the antagonist, you end up making them into so much more than that? Great example, you build sympathy for them and now you actually feel bad. Yeah, that kind of happened to Mermaid. I originally designed her with the full intention of being a hardened criminal, somebody who's been doing this for a long time to a point that she sees it as a career and job. However, looking deeper into her, I think that a good villain should have some motive. And a motive can't simply be money. I mean, it can be, but that's the simplest villain trope you can make. With Mermaid, I wanted to have the opportunity to understand why she wants to do all this importing and disruption of the local markets. And in searching this, I found that one of the main reasons has a lot to do with her anger towards the people who she used to work with. Now we have this version with some light. Take it away. Now this version. Is there a way we can like combine these at all? This is on 8. Okay, actually I kind of like if... I don't know, because like that makes it too red. Take that off, now they look kind of bland. But I feel like this one's a little too bright. Yeah, that's way too bright. Maybe if we use this cream color for the lighting. We can find one that works with it. This would be the overlay, and this was the shadow. So let's take this one and we're just gonna put it away for a second. Put the shadow on top. Keep the overlay. Actually, no. No. Let's remove this layer. We don't want it. And now we're gonna add the light to the shadow and see if I like that better. I'm gonna turn you all upside down for a second. Whoops, grabbed the wrong layer. Art. It's always a guessing game. Back to being upside down. Now, I don't want to overdo it with the light because, whoops, wrong layer again. But yeah, you don't want to overdo it with the light because if it's too bright, then you won't be able to really tell what's going on. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. We're going to go with the shadow and the light.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you.
What
With the Capital One Venture X card,
opacity
you
should we
earn
put the
unlimited
light
double
at?
miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a
I
collection
think
of luxury
66.
hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And
Yeah,
with
I like how
Venture X, you
66
get access to over
So we'll have to write that
1,000
down.
Airport lounges worldwide. Open up
66.
a world of travel possibilities
And
with
our
the Capital
shadow
One Venture X card.
was
What's
32.
in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Oops, wrong layer. $32. 66. I'm gonna add these to our little palette so that we actually remember to use them. And that will do it for the first shot. Mermaid and clay are done. Oop, we seem to have cut out a little bit. I think we're good. We're back. Are we good? You two kind of cut for a moment. That might be our sign to close off for the day. I was hoping to go a little longer than usual, but it appears that my internet is having some issues and we don't want to push it. Let's see. Yeah, I like that shading. Alright, so I think that's gonna do it. Just want to remind myself, let's write something real quick for all of you. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun with this, and while I may have not done everything I planned, this is a good direction for how I'd like the comic to appear. I'm sorry to cut things short, just that I'm a little worried about the streaming service I'm using. If it cuts, that's not good. So I will see you all in the next one. Keep making stories, and I'll see you soon.